Hey, welcome to Foriegner in the Philippines. Well, you can see that I'm at a little keyboard that we have. Lots of houses have these, by the way, lots of homes. This represents the same as the abdominal workout pieces of equipment that will get you a six-pack without doing any work at all. And of course, it won't. And this will not make you into a pianist either, because it requires time. But when I was looking, as you may have seen by the other videos that I've been making recently, I recently made a firm commitment that I would learn to play the guitar. Now, I've always had a guitar. Unfortunately, the guitar that I've got, it's been stored for so long. I bought it in the Philippines. It is actually a beautiful guitar, but like a lot of guitars which are really rather cheap for what they are, the machine heads are faulty, and when I tried to replace the strings, they just broke apart. The little pad that you turned, the head just broke apart. So now I'm waiting on the delivery of a new guitar from Lazada. So in the meantime, I've been looking on YouTube, and on YouTube you really can find so much information, and I found two, and I did tell you about these, but I've only got the name rather than the link. I know I am terrible at this kind of thing, but there's one that I'm sure that you can find on YouTube, and that is a man called Bernth. Now that's his first name, B-E-R-N-T-H, Bernth, and then it's quite a complicated name because he is from Vienna, but he's good. To a fault, he is absolutely down on, he has it down on what you should be learning, and the stuff that I picked up, and let's face it, I've been a professional musician for a great portion of my life, 25 years, and I actually learned quite a bit from this guy, young man, and he's a guitar player, of course, which is why I was on his site in the first place. Now there's him, and there's another man called, another young man, well, everybody's young to me, aren't they? Brandon Acker. So you'll find Brandon Acker on YouTube as well. So you should be able to find them by typing in that. Go to all things about guitars. Eventually they will come up. Now Brandon Acker actually does do what I gather is quite an advanced tuition study course. So you can go to him and you can buy that. It's a little bit advanced for me technically on the guitar. I'm just not up to being able to do that yet, so I got to go for smaller steps. Now, but one of the things that I notice about him, he gives you a terrific amount of information and guidance, and if anything, it's a little bit too much information for what you would be able to take in all at once. The point that I was looking at, that he was teaching on, was in the 5 things that you would need to be able to the 5 things that you should study in order to become a much better player. Now it's very easy when you take up the guitar, especially, guitar and the keyboard as well, because there are methods out there which will have you shortcut into being able to play in a way, and I would like to go into some of those things and maybe help you with explaining a few things that might puzzle you, especially about what Bernth says. Now Brandon, actually I would recommend either of these two guys. Brandon recommends familiarizing yourself with the fingerboard. Now, the thing that I have to observe is that it's difficult to do it on the actual fingerboard itself, because you don't see the notes. Now, if you have a cheap little keyboard like this, which if you're in the States you can probably pick up for a few dollars in a Goodwill store. Now, I started to show my wife a few things, and what you'll see here is that I've made every note. I've written the name on every note except the black keys. Now, there's a reason for why there are black keys and white keys, and I would like to take a moment, change the camera so that we're looking at what I'm doing on here. Okay, be back. Okay, I'm back. Now, I don't have any fancy overhead cameras, so you're going to have to accept this for what it is. But one of the things that Brandon Acker makes clear is that even though it seems like there's a million notes, and if you are a guitarist or a keyboard is easier, that's why we're here on the keyboard, to explain a couple of things. There's not a million notes, there are octaves. So eventually, if you are going from this is always middle C. Let me see if I've got you in. Right, that's middle C. Now, middle C, you need to, as Brandon says, you need to know these things, and especially as Bernd also makes the point, you need to know what notes are called. It's not really enough to have a look at these ways of reading that you can see little chord shapes and everything, and you learn these different shapes and you can actually become quite proficient. A lot of people never learn to read music, and you're cutting out a terrific amount out of your enjoyment. So let me just explain now what is involved. So you've got middle C. Now if you keep going, you see that the keys are two black keys and then three black keys. Okay, so here we are. Let me see if I can get this. God, it's just so primitive. Middle C. Okay, now middle C. Yeah, what we're suffering here is the way that the keyboard, the camera actually reverses things. What we've got is one. Yeah, it's reversing things, and heaven knows why it does this. I often see it on other people's. I see it on other people's videos. But what I'm going to do is just get you, if I can, to go to a keyboard. Now this is C. Now between C and D, and this is why all of the white keys will give you a major scale. Now, if you did music at school, you'll recognize this as do, re, mi. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's what that is. So there are not millions of notes, because once you go into that scale, which is a major scale, you're back to C again. So you could start right down here. So if you're thinking as a guitar player, you've only got up to a certain fret before you're already starting to play the same notes again but up the octave. Here's an octave. An octave is 8 notes. Now, just to explain to you, and that would be enough for this information for this video. Why are there white keys and why are there black keys? Now, for those of you who already know this, you'll be thinking that I'm talking to you like an idiot, but I'm not. The reason is that this is the natural key, C. And by playing those notes C to C, you don't have to touch the black keys. Now, in a major scale, you have full tones and half tones. Now, there's a definition that you should know. I was taught straight when I was in the army, and you had to learn certain definitions in the army, and the definition that you should know is what is an interval. Now, an interval is the difference in pitch between two sounds. This is an interval. This is an interval. So you've got those are all intervals. Now, with the white keys, you've got a whole tone. Except between E and F, it's only half a tone. Then back to a tone. And now listen to the two notes when they're played together. That's a tone. Now just listen to it when it's only half a tone. And this is where you get the black keys come in. This is the small, in our music, Western music, this is the smallest interval, the smallest difference between two notes is the half tone. Others, the tone. And when you have a major scale, you have tone, tone, then that would be a half tone. Then a tone, 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 half tone. So here's the natural semitones. All of the others in that scale are whole tones, the whole thing. Now, where do you find the half tone? You go from the white key to the black key. Now this is what it sounds like to go up C to C in half tones. So those are the things that you need to know, because they're basic to every major scale between the third and the fourth and the seventh and the eighth notes in the scale must be half a tone, and all of the rest are full tone. Going to a keyboard like this or a piano and sitting there and playing those will give you an insight into how it is on the guitar. Now on the guitar you've got frets, and the frets are like this, aren't they? Here's a fret. Well, on the frets, if you go follow the frets up, it's all half tones. Okay, so if I get responses on this and people want to know an easier way to remember what these are, because that's one of the things that our friend Bernth on YouTube says. You need to train your ear, and that's very important. So part of training your ear is to find out what these different intervals are, to be able to hear that's a tone, is half a tone. And then you go into the bigger intervals. Now when you get the first and the third and the fifth note, then you've got a major triad. And you'll find some interesting things on Bernth's YouTube channel where he talks about this. But to break it down so that it's very, very simple, that's why I've come on and tried to offer this. So hope that helps if you are trying to learn how to read, and I'll offer some other things because I was taught very, very simply, and when I listen to people trying to teach music, I wonder why they don't get down to basic. Now there's something that you need to understand, is that these easy get you going methods, I've even seen one now where they've got little buttons that you press because you fitted something onto the guitar, onto the fretboard. They will help you to get into it and help you to they'll encourage you to do the hard work necessary, but in the end it comes down to work, and the work that you put in will be very, very much rewarded, amply rewarded. Music is a really terrific thing. Don't handcuff yourself to these chord symbols only. There's a lot more to it than that. The difference between being able to read words and be able to go to the library. Just imagine, if you couldn't read, what good would a library be to you? But once you can read, there's an entire world of literature out there, and it's the same with music. So bye for now.